The flight attendant was on duty when she noticed something strange outside the plane. She left her work at hand and slowly leaned towards the window, and when she wiped the frost off the window she was shocked that there was a fighter jet outside the window and it was flying side by side with her as if it was on some kind of mission. Brought Daisy to the cabin but found that the man who had just stolen the watch had disappeared, and when she came to the cabin where the accident had occurred, she found that not only had the man disappeared, but even the dead Jeff had disappeared. Daisy told the captain what had happened and the captain immediately ordered a carpet search. Then Daisy told the captain about the fighter plane, but the captain did not believe it, saying that he had never seen it before, and that the most urgent thing was to find the dead man, or else we would all be in trouble. At that moment, a woman came to the bathroom and saw white smoke rising in front of her eyes and the lights flashing wildly. At that moment, Jeff, who had disappeared, appeared underground and slowly crawled up and grabbed the woman by the hand. The news of Jeff's resurrection and disappearance was finally spread. Remembering all the strange things that had happened, everyone decided to find out about Jeff through his luggage, because he was so weird that he died just a few moments after he left. Then there was the extreme weather and the ghosts and phantoms that came along with it that people couldn't help but associate with him. After searching, it was discovered that Jeff had a number of hair specimens that could have been used for spells or to represent people he had murdered. A special case in Jeff's luggage was also opened by the punk girl, only to find an eerie voodoo doll inside. It became clear that Jeff's profession was to deal in these spellcasting devices, and that he was on his way to deliver them to a customer. The punk girl had heard that the Grim Reaper was the angel of death, who assumed that a person had died and had to accept the truth in order to be reincarnated with the help of the Grim Reaper. But the doll in front of her never went away. But this doll never stops, which means Jeff doesn't want to give up on Earth. He must still be around and won't leave. So in order to find the disappeared Jeff, the flight attendant went into the luggage compartment to search for everyone's large items stored here. When she found Jeff's suitcase, Daisy was brave enough to lift it open, but she was stunned by the hand sticking out of it. At the same time, the colleagues were waiting at the door of the cabin, but Daisy did not come out for a long time. Suddenly a puff of white smoke came out of the cargo hold. The colleague was very curious about what was happening inside, but then a pale hand made her fall to the ground in shock. After she left the cargo hold, the smoke slowly disappeared, but then the luggage racks opened up again, causing the flight attendant to yell and scream. The screams drew help from the crowd, but they were met with a horrific sight as the stewardess was sucked right into the rack. At that moment, the plane went through a turbulence and the passengers fled, leaving the punk girl alone. Strange smoke rose again and there was a figure behind the punk girl, and when she looked at it, it turned out to be the punk girl herself, and she had an epiphany and embraced the figure. Dick was ready to go back to his original position when he reached the toilet but tripped over someone on the floor, and when he looked up he was stunned by what he saw. The others wanted to know what was going on, but Dick couldn't speak, only looked sad. They realized something was wrong and ran to the cabin to see that all the passengers were dead. And horror of horrors, they found their own bodies, which meant everyone was dead. That's right. At that moment, the angel of death mentioned by the punk girl was ringing in everyone's ears again. At that moment, there was a live news broadcast on the airplane screen saying that the Tokyo-bound flight had been hit by high-altitude turbulence which had damaged a seal somewhere in the fuselage, so the cabin couldn't hold oxygen properly. The cabin was unable to maintain oxygen, causing the airport crew to suffer from oxygen deprivation, and the oxygen masks only lasted for a few minutes, so it's safe to assume that the passengers and crew have all passed away after the bumpy ride.